Welcome to the Beckett installation video. In this video, you will learn how to select, assemble, and set up a Beckett CG4 gas conversion burner. This video does not replace the installation manual that comes with the burner. Please read the manual and pay special attention to the warnings and cautions included in the manual. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a real danger when installing gas equipment. Always obey national and local codes for venting combustion gases safely. Always use a double-acting draft regulator and block vent switch when installing power gas burners, as shown in this photo. Never use draft diverters when installing power gas burners. Before selecting an assembly of the CG4 burner, you will need to refer to the CG4 appliance guide to select the correct burner and air tube combination. The CG4 appliance guide can be located on the CG4 page of our website. Go to becketcorp.com, click on Products, click on Residential Burners, click on CG4. You will also need to refer to the CG4 appliance guide when assembling the burner to select the correct orifice, low fire rate baffle, air settings, and air band. Following the CG4 appliance guide should provide a trouble-free startup and make fine-tuning with your combustion analyzer simpler. Beckett's Guide to Power Gas Burners is also available on the CG4 page of our website in PDF form. This guide will help you to size piping correctly and shows all parameters for installing power gas burners.
I'm Jim Todd from R.W. Beckett, and this is Beckett's newest conversion gas burner for residential applications. This is the CG4. The CG4 looks familiar to you if you've ever worked on any of our oil burners because it's built on an oil burner chassis. This is the AFG chassis, AFG motor. There's an AFG fan inside, and we actually use an F head that you're all familiar with. The burner is set up so that it is very simple for you to service and install. Part of that simplicity comes from flame rod rectification, direct spark ignition, a nozzle that delivers the gas into the air in front of the head so that you have a nice complete mix. There is also an Inconel shroud around the head itself to improve combustion for you. The burner is sold with a welded flange for the appropriate appliance that you are going to install it to. You will refer to our installation manual for setup and troubleshooting. However, to pick out your parts, you will go to our website and look at our approved appliance list and get the air tube that is appropriate for your appliance. The burner is shipped complete with an air proving switch that proves the air going in and the air going out to make certain that the fan is turning properly and that we don't have a blocked combustion air. If you run into a situation where you do need to put combustion air on here and you want to have direct combustion air, you can look at some of the oil accessories available from Field or other manufacturers that will fit right on the AFG. The 24-volt transformer that you see here is a post-mounted transformer that is only there to provide 24 volts for the gas valve. If the transformer should go, it is an easy transformer for you to find at any supply house. Same holds true with our gas valve. The gas valve that we're using is from White Rogers. It is 24 volts, is very simple to install, and if you run into a situation where you need to replace it, you'll find most wholesalers around will have that available to you. The burner itself has a single pole direct current ignition igniter on it that is manufactured by Beckett, and also the Beckett Genesis for gas. This is the 7590. The 7590 will do all of the troubleshooting that you need just with the 3 LEDs that are on it. Okay, folks. All right, so we've looked up our boiler. The boiler we're working on today is going to be fired on propane. It is a G1153. We've gone to the Beckett website And on the Beckett website, we've gone to the approved appliance list, and we are looking up a G115. Chassis is a CG4 001. The air tube combination is CG4 BUF3, which has an F3G head on it. So the orifice that we're going to use today is for an LP application, which is a 0.177 orifice, which will be found in the bag. The bag will have both natural gas and LP orifices in it. We do not have to respring the gas valve. We just have to change the orifice.
The burner and air tube boxes have arrived from the distributor. Let's open them to see what is provided.
So now we'll uncrate the burner chassis box, and then I'll uncrate the air tube assembly. When you open up the burner chassis box, the first thing that you will find is a package with the instructions in it. In the instructions, you will also find the hang tags for service that we will reference afterwards, and all of the instructions that we need for the control, serviceman's information on the pieces and parts, labels so that we can relabel the boiler indicating what's going on for propane. This is the hang tag, and the I&O manual. In the back of the I&O manual is a startup sheet that we will refer to later on, but this sheet must be completed when you're doing your conversion. The other components in the box are the White Rogers 24-volt gas valve, a low fire baffle, and some fittings, including a union and a T with a test port in it so that we can test the incoming gas pressure. And you'll put that into your line. And here's your union so you can break it apart for service. And the low fire baffle, which we are going to use on this application. Then we have the chassis. The chassis is complete with a 24-volt transformer to power the gas valve, my ignition module, my igniter, which is 32,000 volts direct current, single pole, and my Genesis 7590 control. The wires that you see here are for your gas valve. White is your common, purple is going to go to your main valve. The other components on the burner itself are the air proving switch, which tests air coming in and checks for air going out so that we are certain of that. Okay, now we're going to open up the air tube assembly. The air tube assembly is going to have some more components in it as well as the air tube assembly itself. Part of this assembly is we're going with a lower firing rate, so we need to use a blank band on the burner itself. This is the blank band. We will install that later on. The other box that you'll find in here as we go along is the box that has got the connection for the gas train assembly. Here is our block. That's going to go on the gas train assembly. We have our natural gas orifice pack. We have our LP gas orifice pack. And then we have the small screws that we're going to use to put the burner together. Additionally, there are instructions and another label so that we can label the boiler accordingly. Then we'll pull the burner air tube assembly out. The air tube assembly is set up with the appropriate insertion depth for this boiler. We have two flanges on this. this flange that will go to the appliance, and this flange here that will connect to the burner itself.
The burner now is ready to be assembled. Make sure you have the following tools available. You will need an 1/8 inch long shaft Allen wrench, 5/16 and 1/4 inch nut drivers, and a 3/8 inch box wrench or socket.
So our first step in mounting the air tube assembly to the chassis is to remove these 2 screws right here. There are 4 screws that hold the gasket assembly in place. If you ever need to pull the gasket assembly out, you can take those 4 screws, remove them, and the gasket assembly will pull right through the igniter area itself. So now I will place this in against the chassis. I'm going to put those 2 screws back on. They're going to drop down into the top. I'm tightening this up. I'm not going to tighten them up completely until I get the rest of the screws in place. This packet has my 4 screws that will go into the chassis from the front through the flange, and 2 1/4 inch screws that are going to go into the chassis on the side. So I'll take and put these 4 screws in. And now there's 2 1/4 inch that go on either side. Now what we will do is we will open up the igniter by loosening up these 2 clamp screws, flipping the igniter back. The low fire baffle is installed on this wiring trough right here. So what I will do is install the low fire baffle in this fashion, and then I will make certain that it is all the way down. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to wire the igniter so that we have ignition, and we want to wire the flame rod. This is the wire from the control to the flame rod, which is the yellow wire. Take our quick connect, put it together. When we get finished, we want to make certain that it's in this trough right here so that we don't pinch it. I'm going to take my ignition cable, and as I close the igniter, I'm going to put the single pole igniter cable on, close my clips, and tighten them back down. And now I don't have to get into the burner anymore. Now this particular application requires the solid band as opposed to the slotted band that's on this now. To do that, we're going to have to remove the air proving switch so that we can get the band off. Easily done. 2 screws that we will remove, and even if we didn't have to remove it, we would want to loosen these screws before we do our adjustments. If we don't, they will hold the shutter in place and we will not be able to turn the shutter. So I'll take the air proving switch off, 2 3/8 inch nuts. Then what I'll do is take my 5/16 nut driver, remove these 2 screws, and this screw here. And the shutter comes off. Then I will take and loosen up the band. The band will slide off, and I will slide the blank band on. Once the blank band is in position, I will tighten the blank band, making certain it's against the chassis. And then I'll put my shutter back on. The shutter again has the 2 screws that we removed. I'm not going to tighten them up all the way because I'm going to have to adjust it. Then I will reinstall my air proving switch. Which, if you look, goes right in the same holes as a pump on an AF or an AFG. And the reason for that is we are working with an AFG chassis. And I'll tighten those screws up at the end when I'm finished adjusting my burner. Now we can install our gas valve. I'm not going to grease or use dope right now because we're doing just a demonstration for you. But we have an outlet and an inlet. This is the inlet. This is the outlet. There is an arrow on the top that indicates flow. My gas train is going to come into the inlet, and I'm going to put this assembly after putting the proper pipe dope on it. And now what I will do is, before I go any further, I'll take my LP pack, open it up. Inside I've got my orifices and my grease for the O-ring. My orifices are marked, and I will look for a 177, as we talked about earlier, because this is going to be propane. 177. Now I will take my grease, break it open, take my grease and run my grease inside the broached slot. Very important step. We need to have gas tight. We have to make this gas tight. I will drop the O-ring in place, and then I will grease the top of it. If you would like to install the gas valve with everything in place, you can. However, if the entry is going to be from the right-hand side, which it is this time, you will not be able to turn the gas valve by the control. You have your choice of left or right entry. Now I will place my orifice right in here. That's it. If I need to change my rate, I can take this assembly off and change my orifice. There's no drilling at all, so I'll keep those orifices. I will put my screws in. And now I have assembled the burner. The only thing that I am going to do before I start to install this is I am going to remove an outlet pressure tapping screw so that it's easier in the long run. It's right here. That's where I'm going to check for my 3.5 inches of water column. I will adjust that using this screw right on the top here. Tighten it down if it's too low, loosen it up if it's too high.
Now is the time to check to see that you did everything correctly. We have a G115-3 boiler. We're firing at 90,000 BTUs. The burner we got is a Beckett CG4001. The air tube is a CG4 BUF3, which has an F3G head and a welded insertion of 5¼ inches. We are firing with LP gas, so we use a 0.177 orifice, and we installed a low fire rate baffle according to the appliance guide. The next thing to do is to set up the air shutter and the air band. The shutter is on number 7, the band is 0. We already installed a blank air band, so that would always be 0.
The shutter settings are right in here from 10, 8, 6. I'm going to go to 7, and I'm going to tighten up these two screws slightly, not completely. And once I get finished, I will tighten both of them up, and I will tighten up these two 3/8 inch screws. Then I will take and go to my gas valve assembly, and what I'm going to do is wire my gas valve with the white wire to the common post, which is right here. And I'm going to do it like this so I can get at that switch. And my purple wire will go to my main valve, my main power. And I get those two flag terminals on there. There is an on-off switch to help you guys when you're working with it. The other thing that I want to show you is the Becket Control, the 7590, is pre-wired with two wires coming out for power that you will take a knockout, pick up your power from your boiler control. This is the air proving switch. This Molex here is for my gas valve. And here's my wiring, just like an oil burner, for motor and my ignition. Orange for the motor, blue and white for the igniter, and my black and white coming in, and the neutrals accordingly. You will notice that there is nothing on TT right now. On some applications, I will bring the spill switch into TT. On today's application, we are going to wire the spill switch into the boiler control. So we have to jump TT to make this work. But there has to be a spill switch installed in our dual acting barometric damper.
The burner is now assembled. You can mount it to the boiler in the same fashion that the oil burner was mounted. Wiring the burner. Connect the wire from the limit circuit to the black wire connected to terminal L1. Connect the neutral wire to the white wire connected to terminal L2. Typically, the blocked vent switch should be wired on the TT terminals on the 7590 Genesis control. Our demonstration burner is in a training trailer and is wired differently.
So what we've done now is we have cleaned our boiler, we have made our modifications to the draft regulator so that we have a dual acting draft regulator with a spill switch on it. The spill switch is connected into the boiler control itself. The burner is running. We have our analyzer in, and the important part about having the analyzer in right now is we want to make certain that we keep that CO within acceptable ranges while we're making our adjustments. So now we're going to check our gas pressure, and we'll see that we're running about 3.5 inches of gas pressure. This is connected to the outlet of the gas valve. That's the advantage of that gas valve. If you look at the Genesis control, the yellow flame is on solid. That means that I have a good flame signal. The green light is on, telling me that the gas valve is energized, and the red light is on solid, telling me that I'm in a cycle with the burner running. I have adjusted my air by moving my shutter to my appropriate setting, and now if you come over here, you can see that the analyzer is showing an 85.4% efficiency. I've got a stack temperature of 320 degrees and climbing. My CO is 5 parts per million. My CO air free is 24 parts per million. My oxides of nitrogen are 24 parts. My O2 is 7.2% oxygen. Very good settings for this application. We could tune it up a little tighter depending on your customer's installation. This installation is running essentially direct vent. It's running right out to a stack on the side, so I'm not going to try to get it any tighter than we have. Now, it is very important that you take your combustion analyzer and record your readings.
Completely fill out the hang tag and attach to the burner for future reference. Thank you for watching our video. Following this video and referring to the appliance guide should give you a successful installation. Don't forget to go to our website and read the Guide to Power Gas Burners. We would like to especially thank Northeast Gas Specialist for the use of their training trailer to film this video, and the others listed here.